Rhode has just launched the new Peptide lip shapes. Every time Hailey Bieber puts on a new lip product, lip pencil, lip gloss, it goes completely viral. But a lot of folks are not happy with their purchase of the new Peptide lip shape. And folks are talking about how they're just not pleased with this formula and the overall longevity. But I think that there is a huge missing piece here that no one is talking about. Rhode actually took heavy inspiration from K-beauty within this formula, within the packaging. This entire launch is heavily inspired not only by K-beauty lip formulas, but actual K-beauty techniques. And Rhode is not the only brand to do this lately. So why is it that some K-beauty inspired launches absolutely take off, and what makes others kind of miss the mark? That is what we are breaking down in today's video. And by the way, hi, my name's Amanda. If you are interested in K-beauty or in general just Asian beauty, I don't just talk about Asian beauty on my channel, but it is something that I am very passionate about. So if that is of interest to you, I would love to have you back. Make sure to subscribe. I talk about a lot on my channel the kind of like Asian beauty equivalents to Western beauty products. But in actuality, a lot of Western beauty products are heavily inspired by a lot of these K-beauty launches that happen years before. I think that the peptide lip shapes from Rhode are actually a really good example of this. A technique that has kind of emerged in the last few years from Korea is the over lip look. I'm actually going to leave a video down below of a creator who really beautifully explains this trend, probably better than even I could. This K-beauty trend and technique actually focuses on a very delicate overlining of the lips. A lot of K-beauty lip looks are focused more on a blurry lip line, something that looks incredibly soft, almost just bitten. There's kind of this soft, delicate blur to the lines of the lips that is quite a contrast to a lot of the Western beauty trends that we have over here that really focus on clean, defined, sharp lines. This is essentially K-beauty's take on overlining. Now, overlining really blew up, the Kardashians having, you know, a big hand in that. But the over lip look in Korea is a much softer, undefined version of what we are typically seeing here. It's often paired with a soft kind of gradient lip look. So think very soft edges that go right outside of the lip lines, focusing on creating these really soft shadows, sometimes with like an actual contour color or just with a lip liner, and then kind of blending these edges and then going on top of this product with like a lip stain, something that does have a little bit more longevity. Now, I have a few examples of K-beauty lip liners here in front of me. I think lip liners are just starting to take off in the last few years. It isn't something that has been heavily popular in Korea, but this over lip trend is definitely taking off. A few different products here. The Lily by Red Smiley Lip Blending Stick. Something you see immediately here is that this is a much bigger lip liner product. You have this is a fat lip liner. It almost looks like a lipstick, which we've seen some brands kind of come out with these style lipsticks, but this formula is nothing like a lot of the traditional lipsticks that we have here in the States. Out of all of the K-beauty pencils that I tried personally, my favorite has been the Lily by Red, the Smiley Blending Stick. If you just want to kind of play around with this trend, this could be a really good option for you guys to pick up. I even tried it with the JOOHKY Mood Lip Pencil, combined those two for kind of that overlined blurred lip, and I really liked the way it looked. But I wanted to show you guys again the Oh Happy Day lip pencil from Alicia. This is another Korean brand, a much bigger lip liner, even compared to the Rhode. You can see there, even compared to the Rhode, it is bigger, and this is the smallest one that I have. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about one I almost wish Rhode had taken even more inspiration from, which is this liner from Colorgram. Now, Colorgram has one end with again, that like chubby kind of a lip liner applicator. And on the other end, they have a crisper kind of shadow. You can see, oh God, I just broke it off because but anyway, so you can see here that they have this kind of shadow pigment product that is very soft and blendable to kind of create that natural shadow. And then on the other end, they have the other natural lip shade. So you can see from that texture, this is a completely different texture than a lot of Western lip liners. So I have a bunch. Another option, this is another K-Beauty brand, the Deceique Mood Lip Blur Pencil, and this is the Mood Cocoa shade. And this shade is very similar to what we've been talking about. It's meant to kind of create this really soft shadow along the lips. You're essentially made to use this a little bit outside of the lip line, so it kind of creates that natural dimension. And you know what? I didn't actually know that when I bought it. And one of you were the ones that educated me and said, well, those are actually meant to kind of create a shadow. Thank you to whoever did that. But again, to kind of give you guys an idea, I've basically almost completely blended away a lot of these products. They're very soft and blurry. They're not meant to really last. Let's take, for example, the Makeup by Mario lip pencil. Way more pigment, you can see. The formula in and of itself, it still has a blend, but it's not completely blending away when I move it. You know, it has a little bit more grip to it. I think that this formula is what folks were expecting to receive when they bought their Peptide lip shapes. My hands are completely full of lip liner and I need to figure out where to put these. So what I'm getting at here is that Rhode went to Korea. They formulated this product in Korea. They were inspired by these overlining products from Korea, produced the product, and then here, what ended up being lost in translation is that these liners aren't necessarily the long-wearing lip liner formula that most brands come out with. You know, people are expecting long wear out of this product and they were not given that kind of product. Now, ironically, I feel like this is the most long wearing out of the Korean formulated products that I talked about. People thought that a lip contour was a lip contour in the way that people have thought of lip contouring for forever, which is using a more long wear lip pencil to overline. And I don't think that that is what Rhode was going for. I don't think that that is what K-Beauty was going for. And that's not to say that the K-Beauty way is right and that the Western beauty way is wrong, or either way. It's just about a mismatch in expectations. And I think that more education needed to be done with the peptide lip shapes ahead of the launch. I think that they should have come out and said right away, these are meant to be blendable lip products, soft, diffused color. I think that that could have helped the situation. Now, I am wearing one on my lips today, the shade Twist. It's the only one I have. And again, I'm just gonna give you guys my truly honest opinion because that is what ultimately matters, is that I'm just being honest. I think it looks beautiful, and I am someone that prefers a more kind of blurry, soft lip line rather than something very defined. It looks, I think a very, very defined lip on me can look a little bit strange. Everyone is different, and I think that this ultimately really pairs well if you enjoy that more blurry lip line. Out of all of the K-Beauty lip formulas as well that I mentioned, I actually prefer this to those products, also because I have found this color to be the best, and I've found, at least with the shades that I've selected from other brands, they're always just a little bit too pink for me, and I do like that this Twist shade is a little bit more neutral brown. But all of this is to say that a K-Beauty inspired launch needs the education to make it work. I can absolutely see why folks would be initially disappointed in the longevity of these and why that would make them not want to reach for it. My goal is to just give you the most information so that you can find the right product for your specific needs. And with that, I have to say, For my specific needs, having very chronically dry lips, having smaller lips, being a fan of a blurrier lip line, and being a fan of this color, I gotta tell you, I'm enjoying this product. Good morning. If it looks like I'm having a skin reaction to a mask, it is because I think I am. I'm finishing up editing, and there is another part of me that can't help but feel like, yes, I think that the Rhode team could have done more as far as marketing this product in a way that really made for it to be a more blurry kind of product. You know, Rhode did that with their actual lip blurs. They called them lip blurs. Sometimes people are only looking at the name of a product rather than actually looking at the description of a product. I do that all the time. So there's no like, it is what it is. That's just something that you have to know when you're naming a product, that sometimes that is all the consumer has to go off of. But the more I think about the way the product was described, even the addition of the lip blender on the other end of the product, which I mean, I don't know, I don't really see myself using that. I think that Rhode, oh God, sorry, it's my oven preheating. I think Rhode did their due diligence. I wonder if this is going to be a kind of Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter kind of situation. You know, when that product came out, there was really not a lot like it. And I don't know if you guys have been makeup lovers for a very long time, you remember that product did not go over well, and now it's like a huge staple. I'm not saying that I necessarily foresee that for Rhode, but I am so obsessed and just wildly interested in watching launches, what works and what lands in market, and the way products change over time with the consumer. I wonder how this is going to go over like a year from now. If this is just going to be another launch that just like comes through, no one really uses it after, or if it ends up being something that people, you know, that's more long lasting. I have personally seen the Rhode lip blurs become something that I still see people talk about. By the way, you guys, I'm still wearing my pajamas. This is from Negative Underwear. I'm not going to show you this side because you can see that it is kind of see-through. It's literally the softest thing I've ever put on my body. And that's why I kind of wear it into the morning sometimes. And if you work from home, you can't judge me because I know that you have probably done the same thing. But anyway, yeah, I just find it very interesting. And I wonder if this is something that folks are going to warm up to as time goes on, especially because one of the trends that I saw potentially happening this year was the blurry lip trend. Obviously that is already something that K-beauty is really good at and has been doing for a very long time. That's the preference there, almost like the beauty standard at some point. It is very interesting though to see if and when that does happen. Now, good God, I need to figure out what's going on with my skin right now, but that's all I wanted to say. Which actually brings me to our next case study. Let's go ahead and talk about the Lisa Eldridge concealer pencil that just launched this year. I already did a video talking about this and the other K-beauty alternatives, but we're going to talk about why I think this launch missed the mark a little bit when it comes to K-beauty inspired launches. So if you're not familiar with these kind of concealer pencil products, these are more popular in Korean makeup techniques. They're meant to be kind of a finishing touch product or something to use on the go. Really lovely concept. The brand The Same as well as Peri Para has one. I actually have both. I recently picked up the one from The Same and I am testing that one out. However, those range from around $5 to $10. Lisa Eldridge came out with a luxury price point of that same concept. So this retails for $33. I think I actually talked about more in depth how expensive the actual product in here is. I believe it was like more pricey than its weight in gold. So yeah, it's an expensive product. So the brand talked about how this was really like a one-of-a-kind kind of product. It was a patent product. I always want brands to try to think outside of the box. I think that's what all of us want. We want innovation. But the other side of that coin is that when consumers aren't familiar with a format, they're already a little bit skeptical in some cases. Immediately, this was perceived as very overpriced because when you looked at it, price per ounce, it is incredibly expensive. So no other brands had really released this kind of product within the luxury category. So when Lisa Eldridge did, that price point felt absolutely absurd because our expectations are that if we're paying, $30, $40 for a concealer, you're going to get a decent amount of concealer in like a pot like this or in a tube, per ounce. I think that there is more to this story. The Lisa Eldridge has way more shades than a lot of Korean brands are manufacturing. So I think that this little case study is very interesting because it really fits her brand. It was K-beauty inspired, made in Korea as well, but I can't help but start to notice a pattern with brands coming out with these K-beauty products manufactured in Korea or inspired by K-beauty formulas or products that already exist. And something gets lost in translation when the products are then distributed here. I'm not necessarily saying that the Lisa Eldridge pencil or the Rhode Peptide lip shades are like flop products. Pretty sure both of these brands are doing fine. Now let's get back to Rhode for a second and talk about like their first launches, which were like the launches of the skincare line. I'm actually a pretty big fan of Rhode skincare. Glazing Milk is absolutely beautiful. I also love the barrier or the OG moisturizer. I just bought like their barrier cream that just released. My skin has just been so freaking dry, so I want to try it out. But remember when I told you guys that though I think the peptide lip shapes really needed some adjustment as far as like the marketing of that product, I think Rhode did an incredible job in the beginning of the brand positioning their skincare line. I don't know if you guys remember this trend a couple of years ago about like the glazed donut skin.
Always make sure you look like a glazed donut before you go to bed.
This was something that like Hailey Bieber was saying all the time, like you want to be going to bed looking like a glazed donut, you want glazed donut skin before you apply your makeup, all of this kind of thing.
I am really focused on like my skin barrier, and I always want to look like, I always joke about this and I say I want to look like a glazed donut before I go to bed. If I don't look like a glazed donut, I don't want it.
For me, I think I was maybe late to the game on Rhode. I would kind of like see it and then be like, oh, interesting, I see that that's trending, but it was almost a little bit of like one in, one ear and out the other kind of thing for me. I'm not sure. But looking back, the glazed donut skin is just a rebranding of glass skin that folks in Korea have been, aspiring to for a long time. Having this kind of aspirational idea of having very glassy, super moisturized, dewy, and clear skin. There was a huge focus in the release of the Rhode skincare line of having your skincare be your makeup prep.
Hi Vogue France, it's Hailey. I'm gonna walk you guys through how I prep my skin before I get my makeup done. Rhode Glazing Milk and gets the skin really dewy and hydrated and glazed.
Having these thinner layers of hydrating products that build in your routine to give you a very hydrated base, a very barrier-loving base that is then prepped very nicely for your makeup. And when you think about a lot of Korean skincare routines, a lot of their focus is also on the layering of hydration products within your routine to get you the maximum effect for not only your skin, but your makeup as well. So I think Rhode did a really good job of kind of adjusting these things, these concepts that were already very popular in Korea, adjusting those for the Western beauty market, and they've done really, really well with it. If you are someone with very dry skin, you struggle with barrier repair, they do a really good job. But something that has become clear to me over and over and over is that positioning is really huge in how a product lands in the market. Let's talk about some products that I think are really good examples of K-beauty inspired or manufactured products that then do really well here. So a big example is a product that now you can find in, I think, any acne prone person's medicine cabinet, which is the Mighty Patches, or just in general, we're talking about pimple patches. So when I go back and think about me in my teenage years, when I was struggling super hard with acne, the only spot treatments that were available to me were like drying lotions packed with benzoyl peroxide, salicylic acid, or those, you know, those like sulfur treatments a la like Mario Badescu, putting very, very drying spot treatments on our pimples. Think like Proactive Gel. These are really, really intense actives that a lot of us were putting on our pimples to just try to get them to heal. But the brands Cosrx as well as Nextcare over in Korea started making these pimple patches, which are essentially hydrocollotic patches. There are these little wound healing patches that then absorb any of the gunk inside of the pimple. It protects the pimple, and in general is focused on wound healing and barrier repair rather than just drying the heck out of the pimple. And that is a completely different way of looking at this. You know, when I started to get into Korean skincare, it was a completely transformative kind of moment for me because the approach is so different. So Hero Cosmetics came out with the Mighty Patches and they just absolutely blew up. These are, by the way, made in Korea. They are simple, they are effective, and they do a beautiful job at promoting healing. The presence of acne does mean that your barrier is already somewhat compromised. And I just love the approach. You know, hydrocollotic patches or the hydrocollotic technology was originally used in wound healing, like for surgery. Like this was made as a medical tool, and I love the application now in our skincare routines. So why did this work? It's for a lot of the reasons I already talked about. One, it's a completely different approach that works better than just drying the heck out of a pimple with a clearing gel product. It fits a gap in the market because there weren't any patch products that would kind of protect your skin. That just did not exist. And it offered really quick, visible results. You know, you put on a pimple patch and the next morning you you look at the pimple patch and like the pimple is on the patch. You know what I mean? So there are some products inspired by K-beauty products and manufactured in Korea that do really well here. This, I think, is a really beautiful example of that. Let's talk about another example. The Rare Beauty liquid blushes. I actually have the shade Joy on, like a little bit of joy and a little bit of hope on there. So if you have been a lover of makeup for a while, you know that this was not like the first liquid formula that ever came out. There was a slow movement to creams and liquids, I think started, I'm gonna say around like 2017. I remember the Glossier Cloud Paints kind of being one of the first liquid blushes that really took off. But brands have been coming out with liquid blushes for a long time, but slowly the market was moving in that direction. What Rare Beauty did, I think, was a great example of taking inspiration from K-beauty products and then adding a spin to it or having an adjustment made for the market that you're launching to. So think about all of these like watery serum liquid blushes that already existed in Korea before the Rare Beauty liquid blushes. So think a big one I know at the time was the Apu Juicy Pang tints. But that formula was truly catered to the Korean market. So there were some brighter colors, but it was an incredibly sheer product. It had a nice luminosity, but in general, it was incredibly, incredibly natural. Almost so much that even I wanted more pigment. I'm pretty fair, guys. What I think is interesting is Rare Beauty found a lab. That lab created a formula that is very similar in that light, thin on the skin, serum-y texture to a lot of the Korean products that already existed, and jacked up the pigment, and that really became the defining and differentiating factor for Rare Beauty, for these liquid blushes. Most liquid blushes had a decent amount of pigment, but these had a ton of pigment. And listen, people still over-applied the Rare Beauty up and down. But for what it's worth, Rare Beauty did build an applicator right into the product that shows you exactly how much you should be putting on, which is this little circle. Neither here nor there. What I'm trying to say is that these liquid blushes from Rare Beauty gave longevity, they gave performance, they gave a more wide shade selection that would be more suitable for a lot of different skin tones, and a texture and formula that was inspired by K-beauty. All while, you know, keeping this at about like $23. So it was more accessible. You know, it's not drugstore, but it's not high end. Rare Beauty was able to leverage the slow market shift to liquid cream products and find a lab that could help fit a similar texture that they were going after in some of these liquid formulas in Korea to match a Western audience's expectations. So I think that this is a really, really good example of when this kind of thing goes right. Another example, maybe even, I'm gonna call this maybe an even better example of this, are the Rare Beauty lip oils. Now, I've already, again, back when these were released, I talked to you guys about how these are not lip oils. This is essentially a K-beauty lip stain, like a jelly lip stain. A very, very common formula. In fact, I have one on my lips right now, the Roman Juicy Lasting Tint in the shade Pomelo Skin. One of my favorite lip products of all time. I am gonna leave like a link down below to that video where I talked about alternatives. I do this kind of video a lot, compare other products to their counterparts. It's just something that over the years, I've really enjoyed doing. Rare Beauty knew that lip oils were trending. They had just come out with their liquid lip balms, and there's a part of me that wonders if they wished they could go back, like turn back the clock and just market those as lip oils. It's neither here nor there, but ended up coming out with their lip oils, which are essentially lip stains with a glossy finish. Even though it kind of annoyed me to bits, it's really smart rebranding. I feel like Rare Beauty was kind of able to double dip here. You know, I think lip stains are kind of becoming trendy again. They're able to double dip and have a lip stain and a lip oil all wrapped up into one launch. But ultimately, I don't have a single complaint about the formula. I think it's more so about the expectation of this transforming into a lip oil. I don't think that that's necessarily true, like I said. Do I think the formula is really pretty though? It applies in a juicy, creamy way. Is it non-drying? Yes. Is it weightless? Yes. Does it have a nice shine, you know, for the first 10 minutes of wearing the product? Absolutely. So overall, I'm not mad about my purchase at all. It kind of became a differentiating factor for the brand again, having a product that could last longer, that gave more color with a glossy finish. It was also kind of a buildable formula. The more layers you could add, the more shiny it would get. In general, I think that these are widely really loved, but I still do think it was kind of risky of Rare Beauty to do this. I think when people hear lip oil, they associate it with something very sheer, kind of effortless, throw it on the lips kind of product, and not something that you would necessarily get a ton of pigment and longevity out of. But I think what we're kind of noticing is that people want performance. Like, this is something that I at least am noticing, but it did end up really working for them. So overall, I hope that you guys found today's discussion interesting, and I would love to hear from you guys on similar launches that you think did really well, that were K-beauty inspired, or ones that didn't do as well, why you might think that that is. I would love to hear all of your thoughts down below. And with all of that, I will see you in my next one.